as of right now, we're in baseball talk with David, Nolan, and Jalen. Listen, my first question is this. All right. I've been seeing a lot of the Brewers already clinched the playoffs last weekend. Congratulations to us. We are great. Now the Cubs just did it. And I'm hearing a lot, maybe on the internet, that the Cubs really, really want the Brewers. Jalen, how do you think about that, man? Do you think that's gonna happen? Do you think it's possible that the Cubs could, maybe make a little bit of a run here in the playoffs? I want to start off with you, and then Nolan and David go ahead and talk about it. But listen, again, don't take too long. We only got 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think you should ask the Brewers, do they want to see the Cubs? Because
Of course.
I don't know about that one, but because what's his name? Michael Boyd, I think it is.
Matt Boyd.
He's been looking very bad. Matthew Boyd's looked very bad, and they're still winning games while he's pitching bad. And I feel that, like I told you, if I'm the Brewers, you do not want to see the Cubs at all in the divisional round. If anything, you want to see them in the championship series.
Okay.
But ultimately, if I'm a Cubs fan, I have no problem with facing the Brewers because they may have great pitching, but we have good pitching too. But our offense is better. Yeah, they hit. They hit. You guys do a lot of the situational hitting and whatnot, but Cubs can really put up a lot of crooked numbers very fast with like big swings, and with Kyle Tucker coming back healthy soon, they can fuck around and make a run for real. They've beaten the Dodgers, they've beaten the Brewers, they've beaten the Padres, they've messed around and played around with the Phillies. They lost the series, but they lost 1 or 2 games less. Out of all the other teams in the NL, they won the series against all of them.
Nolan, as the Brewers fan. Well, what are you thinking right now?
As a Brewers fan, look, I mean, the Cubs wouldn't be my first choice for who I wanted to see, but I would definitely prefer to them in the championship series compared to a team like the Philadelphia Phillies. I think the Phillies are red hot right now.
Don't want to touch the Phillies right now.
I don't want to see Philadelphia in that. And I'm really hoping that we can stay in the number 1 spot, because then, as it's looking right now, we wouldn't see the Cubs or the Phillies until at least the NLCS. I don't know. This Brewers team they concern me a little bit because we are getting back to winning. We just swept the Angels. Again, that's not a huge feat because the Angels suck. But I personally am not thrilled with where we're at heading into the playoffs, because they do this every single year. They do this where they get super hot. We saw that stretch where they won 14 in a row. And they won however many, and they had that 11-game winning streak, and then they lost a couple, and they went on the 14-game winning streak, and they just got super red hot, and everybody was like, nobody can touch the Brewers. And then now we were kind of falling back down to earth, and
the Cubs are getting hot.
These other teams, the NL are just getting hot, and especially the Phillies. The Phillies, I mean, they scare me. They scare me.
I've been trying to tell y'all this for years,
and they're doing this without Trey Turner.
Yeah, David.
They scare me, but I mean,
go ahead, Noah.
I'm still hopeful as a Brewers fan. I'm still hopeful that it's our year, and I still think that they can easily compete with the best teams in the NL by any means.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
But I mean, you're gonna have to beat one of them probably. The Cubs or the Phillies, assuming you can get past probably the Dodgers. Or it won't be the Dodgers. It will be it could be the Cubs in the NLDS. I'm guessing. I'm trying to work through the processes. Yeah, so it could be the Cubs in the NLDS.
Yeah, you will play the Cubs. You will play the Cubs in the NLDS or the Padres.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not scared of any teams per se, but I don't know. The Brewers team, with the way they are right now, with the way they're performing, doesn't inspire me with as much confidence as I had like a month ago or 2 months ago. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on them going running through everybody. Miz needs to be in the bullpen, dude. He should not be starting anymore. He should be. He's a young dude. Look, he had a great start to his career, but put him in the bullpen, let him work there, be a long reliever, and take him out of the starting rotation. Because I mean, it's just it's not working right now.
Now, David, as the middleman, as the White Sox man, who do you think the Brewers should want to face this first round? I know the bye matters. We're gonna get to that question in a second, actually, after your response. But who do you think that the Brewers should really look to face in the playoffs? I know you're not a Brewers fan, but as a baseball, knower, you got to have some idea,
Baseball
Yeah,
stuff.
well, I think the Cubs are probably the team that I would pick, and the main reason is that the thing about the Cubs is that they're the hardest team for me to get a beat on. They're like the biggest wild card because like the first half of the season, the whole thing with the Cubs is that their lineup is elite, their hitting is elite, but their starting rotation concerns me. The question I was asking was who's the ball going to the starting like after game 2 after Shota. I don't think there was a single quality starter on the Cubs roster. And this was before Matthew Boyd got hot. And obviously now, you have Cade Horton, who is playing at an unbelievable level. I think he went like 35-plus innings without giving up a run. It was something insane. He probably gets the ball game 2. But now you got Matt Boyd playing poorly. And, Matt Boyd is also a guy that has never been an elite pitcher before. This is by far the best year of his career. But the thing that concerns me a little bit with the Cubs and is why I would say that I would want to face them as a Brewers fan is that the whole script has kind of flipped a little bit. We saw, especially in August, the Brewers going back to the All-Star break were 24-22. After I believe it was mid-September, from the All-Star break to mid-September, between Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, and Seiya Suzuki, they had 4 home runs in that stretch. The 3 of them, those are their 3 best and most powerful hitters, just went unbelievably cold from All-Star break to mid-September. As we know, baseball is a huge game of runs. It's a huge game of momentum. I'll pick up on what Nolan was saying about how the Brewers, one of their Achilles' heels was getting hot too early and then fizzling out. I think that's kind of what we saw in the middle of the, post-All-Star break stretch for the Cubs. And their identity is a little bit confusing to me because they were a team that I thought was going to have – you can make the argument that, if they're playing their best, they have the best lineup in baseball. Tucker, Suzuki, Pete Crow Armstrong, when Happ is playing well, that's a lot of power right at the top of the lineup. And you got guys like Carson Kelly having a career season, Dansby Swanson, we know how good he can be, but it's
you forgot one of the biggest names on that list.
Yeah, second biggest contract in franchise history, fun fact. But now the script is kind of flipped because now the pitching looks really, really good. You in theory have your 3 starters penciled in as Shota, Horton, Boyd, and then you throw Will Severin then. But it's like, is the offense going to recapture that pre-All-Star break form and get back to just absolutely mashing? And I think there's a bit of uncertainty there, and that's why I would probably want the Cubs because they're the least like known right now in terms of what they're capable of.
You forgot Michael Bush.
Oh, Bush, yeah, Bush is good too. Bush is good too for sure. But he was another guy that's on the list.
So it goes from top to bottom how good they are.
Bush had a 650 OPS in the month of August though, and then during the months from post All-Star break to September 15, Pete Crow Armstrong had the worst OPS in baseball. His OPS was like 450 something, and that's why one of the most stable and safest lineups in the entire league, at least in my eyes, suddenly looks vulnerable. And obviously Tucker had a really rough stretch. He was getting booed off the field after not running out ground balls at points, and now he's coming back hurt. Suzuki was super cold. So the biggest thing with the Cubs is, will they be able to recapture that pre-All-Star break form? And if I'm the Brewers, I like the uncertainty of that over a team like the Padres or the Dodgers or something like that. So if I could pick one team, that's why I would probably pick the Cubs.
Now, David, you mentioned the word momentum. That's going to lead into my next question here. Which NL wildcard team has the most momentum right now? Outside of the Cubs, I know we mentioned them. We've been talking about the Cubs and the Brewers. Now, outside of them, you got the Padres, you got the Mets. I believe the D-backs and Reds are on play here. What other teams are, have that momentum that you could see potentially bringing up an upset to the Brewers or the Phillies or any other team that may have a higher seed. Nolan, I'll start with you since we started with Jalen last time.
I mean, I think it's the Padres. I just this team is. If they were not in the division with the LA Dodgers, I think would be. I think even with being in the division with the Dodgers, they're scary. They're a scary ball club. It's another ball club that got really hot at early in the season. They've kind of cooled off a little bit and kind of were hot at around the same time as the Brewers were. But they're still that's still a scary ball club, and I think that the Padres or the Cubs, assuming that that's going to be the 4-5. Assuming the Dodgers take care of business against whoever will end up being the 6th wild card, they're the 6th seed. It's going to be a challenge for Milwaukee, assuming that they can hold the number 1 spot. But I'm not looking forward to either of those teams. But the Padres, to me, I think have the ability, or the Padres and the Cubs both. I mean, no, we're not talking about the Cubs now, but the Cubs, if we're talking about wild cards, the Cubs and the Padres, I think, are the only ones that have the ability to win the World Series and take it all the way. I don't think that the Mets do. I don't think that any of the other teams that could possibly sneak in there, Arizona or Cincinnati, do. I think that they're just kind of playing to see who loses to the Dodgers in the wild card series. But aside from the Cubs, the Padres are a legit contender, I think, and would scare me a little bit if we got them in the NLDS.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with Nolan. I would probably take the Padres over the Phillies. The Zach Wheeler injury is like a gut punch for me. They have other good pieces. They have they have Christopher Sanchez. They have Ranger Suarez. They got Jesus Luzardo from the Marlins. That's gonna be a solid number 3. But the Wheeler that's basically the equivalent of like the Tigers losing Skubal or the Dodgers losing Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It's like that's a guy that's a guy that can win you a game outright. And they're, especially since their bullpen isn't as strong this year. You have no Jose Alvarado, you have no Sir Anthony Dominguez. Like these are guys. The core of the bullpen that got you to a World Series and then to almost another World Series looks a lot different this year. And you look at that compared to the Padres staff. Cease is starting to figure it out. Michael King has been fantastic this year. You have a bullpen that consists of Mason Miller and Robert Suarez. Like those 2 guys alone scare the shit out of me. And you have other good guys like Jason Adam, like that. When you look at the staffs of the 2 and the numbers behind them, I gotta say that I would feel a little bit more comfortable if I was a Padres fan than a Phillies fan right now.
Jalen, what's your thoughts?
I mean, obviously the answer is obviously the Padres, but I want to go a different direction.
No Mets lovers here.
I was going with the Mets.
Okay.
Just because of what they can do as an organization. I just think the past 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks, they just have swept the Phillies.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the Mets are good, dude. I don't know why no one's talking about the Mets.
And what I've seen the past 3 games, Soto's gotten hot. He has 40 homers now. He had 2 hits last night. Pete Alonso had some last night. I think he had 2-3 homers the last game or 2. I think it was. You don't forget you got Lindor on it. So their top 3 is heavy. Then you got Nemo and Vientos, who are good quality bats. And at the bottom, don't forget they got Cedric Mullins too, who by the way was great with the freaking Orioles. So it's like I would say the Mets are probably the most scariest team because if what has the most momentum to try to upset somebody, because if they get their pitching in order, their lineup might just produce in the postseason. And like we all know the postseason is a whole different season, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to, and if they just make it, all hands off, especially with a lineup with Juan Soto, Alonso, and Lindor in it. Mm-hmm. Hey,
here's what I'll say about the Mets.
They were
last year. I just pulled up some stats. The thing about you were talking about momentum, Nas. On June 12th, Mets were 45-24. They had a 5.5 game lead in the NL East. 75% chance win in the division, 96% chance making the playoffs. Since June 12th, 31-49. And their ERA went from 2.79, which is the best in baseball, to 5.10, which is 24th in baseball. And then the bullpen ERA went from 2.82, which was second, to 5.04, which is 26th. And then the offense, which was at 4.6 runs per game, has gone down to just 3.4. So it really has been a tale of two halves for the Mets. I agree with what you said, Jalen, because just the sheer number of producing. I'm glad you mentioned Mark Vientos. That's, in my opinion, he's the X factor in that Mets lineup. But obviously, they have enough big names to still be a scary force. But the fact that they had such a big lead in the division, and now they aren't even guaranteed for a wild card at this point. Like they could just Senga got demoted because Kodai Senga, he had like a 6 ERA in his last like 6 starts. Like there's just a lot of question marks around New York right now. I think the fact that they aren't even guaranteed to make the playoffs at this point is enough to scare me away.
Yeah, so if they just somehow get in,
if they can get in, then I agree. Yeah, but if
they can get hot too, that's the thing. It's just like
outside the Cubs.
You talked about them getting swept by the Phillies, but I mean, they like in their last 10 games, they're 3-7. So it's not like they are like, it's not like they're like all of a sudden like the super red hot.
That I was going to bring up.
They're not. I mean, they lost. They beat the Padres in the 3-game series, but they lost to the Rangers in 3-game series. Lost to the Phillies, got swept by them. I mean, they lost to the series against the Reds back in the beginning of September. I mean, they haven't. It's not like they've like flipped a switch and they're back to where they were. I understand that the argument 100% that this is a team built. Like, look at this team on paper, is a team built to win the World Series, and if they get in, who knows, they could make a run. But nothing that they have showed me through the past month, or even again, even going back as far as what David was talking about, how they've been since early summer. I mean, nothing that they have showed me has said that they can make that sort of run right now.
Yeah, like I mean, you think about like another team Soto was on, like the Padres a few years ago. Tatis, Machado, Soto, Bogarts. Like sometimes like a bunch of big names
Don't work.
Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't click. I mean, I thought that team was going to win the World Series with all the talent they had, and sometimes just doesn't work out.
Go ahead, get your last question.
My last question. I know we've been talking about the NL a little bit. I want to switch to the other side. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays, can they hold off the Yankees and Red Sox in the AL East for the #1 seed? Now, this is a pretty strong division here. I mean, the wild card is going to be tough in the AL, absolutely, but can they hold them off? And I want to kind of mesh the questions a little bit too, because I want to see who you guys think the momentum is, whose momentum is at the highest at the wild card level right now in the AL. But first, answer the question of, can the Toronto Blue Jays hold them off? Because it's getting a little dicey right now.
Yeah, I think the Blue Jays will be perfect. They'll be fine. I don't see the Yankees making that kind of a run at that. They had 3 games back anyway.
Yeah.
And
Detroit's fallen off a little bit too,
And the Red Sox has fallen off. They're 6 games back, it seems like. So I think it's safe to say that Toronto will definitely take that division for sure. But as you were saying that in the wild card, who would be if they had Roman Anthony, I think they could make a run, but they didn't have him for the past 2 weeks. So, But if you talking about who out of the wild card, who would be the most scariest will come out of it?
Yeah, I got Seattle personally. That's my personal one. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else. Maybe the Astros, because they're the Astros, but I got the Mariners. I think they look absolutely disgusting. When they played Milwaukee, I thought they were just amazing. But that's the team I have. But I continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the Mariners 1,000%. I mean, even if they don't win the division, they still can win the division actually. So even if they don't win it, I think that's the most hardest team to face out there in the wild card for them. You kind of know what the Yankees are. They're big bat and don't really got the best pitching staff at all. But their bats keep them in games. Aaron Judge obviously keeps them in games, and Bellinger is having a significant bounce back season, which the Cubs are stupid for. But yeah, the Seattle Mariners are obviously the best one. Eugenio Suarez, they got Rodriguez, Crawford, and you have the MVP Cal Raleigh, like the best switch hitting catcher in baseball, or best catcher in baseball, in my opinion. So I think the Mariners are probably the toughest one. They won 10 straight, I believe it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah,
9-1 in their last 10.
A team to watch out for if they can get in there is the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah,
plain and simple. I mean, this is a Guardians team that has been red hot. I mean, you talk about momentum. This is a team that has won 12 out of their last 13 games, including they just got a sweep over the Detroit Tigers, number 2 team in the AL. Earlier in September, you talked about the Mariners. They won the series against them. They've beaten, they lost the series to the Red Sox, but they were close in all of those games. And the game that they won, they destroyed them. I mean, they faced the Rays, who are a prospective wild card team that could still theoretically make it, probably won't, but could still theoretically make it, not in there. But again, they have been eliminated. Then it was the Royals, the White Sox, who are a team that David can tell you is heating up, and it looks to be better going into the future. Not the basement dwellers that they've been the past few seasons. And so they've beaten good squads, and this again. Momentum baseball, I think, is such a momentum sport going into the playoffs that, I mean, we've seen teams in recent years do this where they get in, they kind of sneak in as like the 6th or the 5th seed. It's the wild card teams, and just go all the way. I mean, I really think that this Guardians team could cause some issues if they can get in. Right now, they're 1.5 games back. Talked about the Red Sox, how they're kind of cooling off right now. I think that they could easily steal their spot. So I think that they're a team to watch out for, and again, it's all going to be, these final 10 games of the season. It'll be, can they get in? But again, they're 1.5 back right now. If they get in, watch out for Cleveland. They will be a team that I'm going to keep my eye on.
David, final
one. You were talking about they just swept the Tigers. That is going to be the best series to watch because they just played a series with the Tigers in Detroit. Now they go to Cleveland and they're playing 3 more. And like I agree 100% with what you guys said about the Mariners. I think they have the best staff in the league. I mean, 1 through 5, you got Luis Castillo, Brian Wu, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert. Those 4 right there is insane. But if you want to talk about a team that doesn't have momentum, my second team is the Tigers, being a Michigan guy. And I'd say if you were talking about a team that you'd want to play, I would want to play the Tigers. That's like the opposite of the momentum. They could have, the magic number for them to win the division has been like around like 7 or 8 for like the past like month, and they've just been dragging their feet, and they've lost 2 out of 3 in a series. Like the Sox beat them 2 out of 3. The Angels took 2 out of 3 from them. They took 2 out of 3 from the Mets, but like it was in really bad fashion. I think the Tigers are easily the weakest team in the AL right now. I mean, he had injuries to the pitching staff. After Skubal, I don't even know there's a possibility that 42-year-old Charlie Morton could be getting the ball in Game 3 of a playoff series for them. Flaherty has looked horrible since the All-Star break, and the lineup is not. I don't know if it's as good as we thought. Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, Torkelson, they all have been on the downward spiral, and I think they're in real danger of forfeiting the division. They just got swept by the Guardians. These next 3 games they play against the Guardians, I feel like, are going to tell us a lot about both of those teams.